I could have retained my post as city physician at Basel. I could have dealt with that ship of fools that call themselves doctors. My post was safe enough as long as Froben was still alive and Ecolampadius was pastor. But Froben was now dead, and he had been my shield. And Ecolampadius, he was constantly being diverted by the horrific attacks on the Anabaptists, which drew him away from Basel. But there was something else. Something stronger than any of these setbacks, which seemed to eat at my very existence. It was only later, much later, that I realized it was the unseen presence of Anton Fugger, banker, importer of guaiac, who gnawed away at my very being. His intrigues and plotting brought on the horrid events that were to gather around me like a storm. Erasmus, Boniface, my cousin George, all seemed to be drawn away from me by this invisible evil. There seemed to be no one I knew or anything I touched that was not permeated, I should say infected by his intrigues. His aura was like the fuming bark of the guaiac tree he sold to apothecaries all over Europe. Invasive and malignant.
The light, Herr Fugger?
Where's your leader? What is this place?
Go and get some food. Greetings. I trust you have not been too inconvenienced.
You are Ecolampadius. Do you know who I am?
You are Anton Fugger, a banker from the House of Fugger. And you have your finger in many pies.
I'm also financial advisor to the Emperor, an imperial counselor, and I expect to be treated appropriately.
You must not expect too much politeness from me or from my men, Herr Fugger. That youth has lost his family by slow burning. This one was made a target practice for crossbowmen until we cut him down. Were it not for the assistance of Paracelsus, physician to Basel, he would be dead now.
Why have you brought me here? You get no ransom from me. Do you hear that, young man? Not one penny.
I'm not going to ransom you, Herr Fugger. Despite what you hear, I'm not a brigand. I brought you here for another reason.
You want me to stop the sale of indulgences in Basel?
On the contrary, the sale of indulgences is a useful source of income to us. Your agents sell them to good Catholics. My men take the money from your agents. It's a good arrangement. The money stays in Basel instead of going to Rome.
Then you are a brigand, and you brag about it.
Not at all. The money goes to the poor and the needy.
What a waste.
No, I've not brought you here on the matter of indulgences. There's something else, much closer to your heart. Clear out, you lot, and see to your horses.
Well, out with it. What is it? I must get to Basel this evening.
I will ensure that, and you will be under an escort. You will be safely conducted to the Spalentor Gate.
Oh, well. Why have you brought me here?
To trade with you.
What could you possibly have that I would be interested in?
The jewels of the Duke of Burgundy?
You're joking, of course. Those jewels are already in the possession of the Basel authorities, the city council.
Correction. I am the authority in Basel. And they are in my possession.
You have the crown jewels of Burgundy? How can I believe you? Where are they? Well, they're not here anyway.
No. But I have them. Do you still wish to leave, Herr Fugger?
I see that you have detected a weakness of mine. I would have to have evidence that you do possess this treasure and that my purchase of it is legal before I'll negotiate with you.
I will provide evidence. You know the Amerbach family in Basel?
Yes, I do. They're partners of Froben, the printer there.
One of them is a professor of law at Basel University, Boniface Amerbach. He's a friend of mine. He could negotiate the sale of the jewels with you unless you have an alternative.
I have my own agent in Basel.
Yes, but he would not be acceptable to me. He has already felt my whip across his shoulders.
You are an impertinent young man. But yes, I would accept Boniface Amerbach as negotiator. What do you want in return for these jewels? You said trade. I have no gold to give.
I don't want gold. A little perhaps to pay my soldiers.
Well, what do you want then?
The defenses of Basel are in a poor state. I need to have them restored and modernized.
What a good idea. They are dilapidated. I think I could arrange that. I own quarries nearby. I can get a few hundred masons from our states in Rome. Yes, why not? Oh.
You have the gout, Herr Fugger. While you're in Basel, you would do well to visit the city physician there, Dr. Paracelsus, a most remarkable young man, the most brilliant young doctor in Europe.
Thank you. I have my own medical advisors.
Well, they don't appear to have worked miracles with you.
I don't like physicians. They're a shifty lot. Never listen to what they're told, and I see them as rarely as possible. I don't trust them.
I just can't understand why there's so much mercenary activity here. You wouldn't know why, Herr Fugger?
No, I don't. Why should I?
My men will see you to your carriage.
Erasmus, your services to literature are wondrous. Why, some say that when Luther attacks you, he has to do it in a style of language you yourself fashioned.
I have heard that said, and it is probably true. But I hope you have not invited me here to discuss Luther.
Bear with me. Did you know that you and I have something in common?
That surprises me.
We are both counselors to His Imperial Majesty the Emperor.
Ah. Yes, that is true.
I'm aware also that your friend and publisher, Frobenius, even before his death, was in severe financial difficulties. He had overspent on risky publications, purchases of manuscripts, crippling expenses on plant, parchment, translators, and so on.
I don't know how you came by such knowledge. It's been a carefully kept family secret shared only with the Amerbach brothers.
Nothing in any city needing my finance is secret.
Herr Fugger, why have you invited me here today?
I wish to donate a not inconsiderable sum to the further publication of several of your books.
Which books interest you?
Well, I have in mind the little book you wrote for the Emperor's guidance when he was a boy, you remember, just before his election.
You mean the education of a Christian prince?
Yes, yes. Let us say that I would advance 10,000 guilders for a special edition, a gift to the Emperor. It could be circulated among the sons of Germany's noble families. It could be acknowledged in the edition that the House of Fugger had been helpful. Now, I would insist, of course, that royalties, say 20%, would be paid you in advance. We could repeat the exercise on others of your writings.
How could I be of service to you?
Oh, that would not be necessary.
It would have to be, if I were to accept your gracious offer.
Well, then, if you insist.
I do.
You have been a close friend of Paracelsus, even a patient. I'm impressed by the extent of the doctor's publications, if not by their content.
Well?
They are so prolific and diverse, I conclude that Paracelsus's books are being financed by some wealthy patron who wishes to remain anonymous. I would like to know who that patron is.
There is no such patron, Herr Fugger.
There must be. How else could his doctrines be published so widely? virtually in every university town in the empire.
His publications thrive because, like my own, they reflect the new thinking. They thrive because Paracelsus travels the length and breadth of Europe publishing them. They thrive because he mercilessly impoverishes himself in order to pay his printers.
How can you be so certain of this?
How can you be so foolish as not to see it for yourself? I recognize it because I, for the most part, have been in the same position. Forced to sing for my supper in almost every court and noble house in Europe. Oh, how easy it is for the academics to applaud my endless publications without a thought for the stress and the self-denial and the hours of drudgery that go into their production. How easy it would be if there were a constant patron always on hand to meet the shortfalls. Paracelsus is no different. He writes, he seeks out publishers, not caring how far he has to travel. He finances his own works and arranges for their distribution. You could never stop him unless you destroyed him.
Then he alone must bear the consequences of his own infamy.
Herr Fugger, there are destructive forces at work in Basel. The Protestant guilds of craftsmen are as treacherous as a pack of wolves. The town council is losing control. It survives only by throwing the property of the church to the wolves. Priories, abbeys, churches. Nothing is sacred. All is being consumed. And when it is all gone, they will not hesitate to throw me, or Paracelsus, or anyone else to the wolves.
It could be so. Ah, Wonica, leave us. I trust that my grant for medical research into the miner's disease has been useful.
It has, Herr Fugger. It's most generous of you. We've tried out the West Indian remedies, as you suggested.
Dr. Wonica, I want your help in an important matter. It concerns your patient von Lichtenfeld, the canon of your cathedral.
Lichtenfeld?
Yes. I dined with him last autumn, a prodigious glutton.
Really?
I remember him well. I'm a good trencherman, you know. It's rare for someone to exceed me at table, but I have my limits. Now, Canon Lichtenfeld, well, really, the way he devoured the roast plovers, you know.
The canon is in fair health, Herr Fugger. I thought you wished to consult me. I've many calls to make.
Don't be sharp with me, Wonica. My endowments pay most of the salaries in your medical faculty. Yes, I am consulting you.
You have a fever. I shall need to take your urine.
Really, Wonica, I am consulting you about Canon Lichtenfeld.
He has an infected gallbladder and episodes of the colic. There's little we can do for him. At the moment, he's in remission.
I want him ill again. I want him to see Paracelsus.
What?
Paracelsus has severely damaged the reputation of Guaiac in Basel. Our sales are quite depressed, and nobody seems to have the slightest influence on this recalcitrant doctor. Nobody!
Nothing would please me more than to see Paracelsus disciplined. What has this got to do with Canon von Lichtenfeld?
I think the canon should be seen to have a relapse. A bad one.
I'm sorry. I don't understand. I'm the canon's doctor, not Paracelsus. It would reflect badly on me.
But if the canon, in his critical condition, were to offer Paracelsus a large fee to cure him, say 100 guilders,
Go on.
and Paracelsus did cure him, then the doctor would naturally want his fee.
And so?
But if the canon refused to pay, what would Paracelsus do about it?
I think I can tell you. He'd create hell. He'd sue. He doesn't charge fees of the poor, but he stings hell out of the rich.
Let him then try to sting von Lichtenfeld. Let him demand his 100 guilders and take the canon to court.
I don't think the court would award him 100 guilders, maybe 50.
I think I can promise you that the court would give him much less than that. I happen to know several of the sitting magistrates intimately. I think I could guarantee judgment adverse to Paracelsus.
Since Frobin's death, his standing with the city authority has declined. I think you're right. Paracelsus would create hell if he didn't get his fee. And some of the magistrates are aldermen. They might just as soon sack him as they did appoint him. Give him enough rope and he'll hang himself.
Yes, and you will provide the rope. And if you are successful, I will be generous for the hangman.
I need to see the cannon.
This doctor? Veronica. It's you. I didn't send for you. I was no better after those dreadful purgatives you gave me. Quite the opposite.
I'm not here to treat you, Cornelius.
Your fee. I sent it you. Not quite what you are.
I am not here to argue about my fee, you fat fraud.
Really, Veronica, you should not abuse me, sir. I'm still not well. I'm a loyal son of the church, a canon of this cathedral, and
Exactly.
What?
The church needs your help, Cornelius.
What do you mean? I do what I can. It's not always...
Rest in peace, Cornelius. I'm not here to scold you. The Catholic party in this city is at its wit's end. It needs your help.
Oh, you mean this row over Paracelsus? Well, he has been very severe over medical malpractices. I can't say I entirely disagree with him. And the apothecaries are no better. Every doctor that calls on me leaves behind him a clutter of bottles, flasks, spatulas, to say nothing of the oils, plasters, and balsams.
Paracelsus is a threat to this cathedral, Cornelius. He's a threat to your bread and butter.
He's always been civil to me.
Does he attend Mass?
No.
Does he make gifts to the church?
No, but he tends to the sick and the poor, and he makes no charge for it.
That's his duty as town physician. He's upset the Catholics at the university. He supported the Anabaptists in their cantons. He's even won over Erasmus to his cause.
No, not Erasmus. Surely. I thought Paracelsus' standing in the community had waned somewhat with the death of Frobin.
Not at all. That bastard Ecolampadius supports him to the hilt.
Oh dear. That monster. I saw his men the other afternoon stripping everything from that beautiful priory near the river. What do you want me to do?
I have a suggestion to put you.
What?
As you know, my family acquired most of the Duke of Burgundy's jewels 20 years ago.
Yes. In 1504, Fougas bought a large portion of this collection from the city of Basel. The exact extent of the purchase was never known.
Well, there were good reasons for secrecy. Some of the gemstones were pledged to reigning heads of Europe, kings and princes, jealous of common bankers like ourselves. It was my father's wish that I add to our part of the collection from time to time. Forgive me, I have the gout. I must be seated.
Why have you asked me to negotiate your purchases this time?
Well, the sovereignty of Basel is a shifting target, and the ownership of the gemstones is a political issue in a town whose politics are a quicksand for the unwary.
I would say amen to that. So would Paracelsus.
Did you say something? Well, I would like legal ownership to be clearly established before I purchased the jewelry. And you are an authority on the law here.
But not the only one.
No, but you are professor of law at Basel University, and that is enough for me. The House of Fugger, as bankers to the Emperor, must not be seen to be involved in illegal or immoderate practices.
You old humbug. Now, what you really mean is that Basel is now no longer predominantly Catholic, and that a significant part of the Duke's treasure is now in the hands of my close friend, the Protestant pastor, Ecolampadius.
Yes, and who better to negotiate the sale than you? I know that Ecolampadius maintains a standing army, and Ecolampadius must therefore be short of money. Now is the time for me to buy jewelry from him. It's the same all over Europe. Nations, princes, kings, even emperors maintain armies they can't afford. Herr Emmerbach, until now I have been acting on hearsay, on reports from Fugger's branches, from our agents in Europe's capitals, that Ecolampadius has the jewels. But I want proof. His reputation is unsavory in my circles.
I have that proof with me. A stone handed me by Ecolampadius not an hour ago. Yes, he has need of funds. He said, "This is my signature, a lighted lamp in a house. Here."
Give it me. The central piece of the new crown that Charles of Burgundy hoped to wear after he had conquered France. He was having it set at the time of his defeat. Well, young man, I think we can do business. I have need of legal advisors like you in this area. Now, if you will act for me here, I would be pleased to retain you with a generous fee. I would have several commissions for you immediately.
What sort of commissions?
Well, briefs, mortgages, sales of armaments, financing of sewers, miners' contracts, you know the sort of thing. And there is one commission in particular that only you could handle.
Oh? And what is that?
Your family has some sort of connection with Basil's city physician.
With Dr. Paracelsus? Yes. He is also a close friend of mine.
Yes, I'd heard that. The doctor is unapproachable on certain matters, won't see reason. He's stubborn, ignorant, abusive, uncooperative.
Paracelsus is excitable. How does it concern you?
He interferes with the sale of my drug guaiac. In Basel and in St. Gall, in Zurich, we can't sell it.
Ah, yes. Guaiac. I know all about it. A poisonous drug. I can give you an emphatic answer. It is not a matter for negotiation. Paracelsus would not alter his opinions about its dangers, even for me.
He is damn stubborn. I've made every effort to persuade him to stop his nonsense. He attacks guaiac in his publications, in his broadsides, even in his teachings in Basel Medical School. I could find him a post at the imperial court, recommend him for surgeon-in-chief in Henry's army in France. Anything, if he would only be reasonable. I cannot tolerate this situation any longer.
You are wasting your time. Paracelsus does not take bribes, and nor do I. He does not respond to coercion of any sort, especially in medical matters.
He will be in trouble up to here soon.
He is already. But it makes not the slightest difference. Not the attempts to discredit him in public debate. Not vilification by lampoons. Not even attempts at his assassination. Good day.
The Luther of medicine. Please do not compare me to Luther again. I stand for the free will of man everywhere, among the common people, yea, even the downtrodden peasantry, which Luther did not. Even amongst those without power or privilege, I maintain that man is free. Free even to rule his own stars.
That is a recipe for anarchy and chaos.
I do not countenance violence, nor do I approve of anarchy.
Every word you utter in public is an incitement to riot.
Like Luther, I use rough speech and speak in the language of my birth and country. Like him, I am not subtly spun. I have grown up under the pine cones of these forests and mountains and valleys, and I speak what I believe to be the truth. And the truth is that we are soon to enter an age in which petty religious bickering by whomever will be swept aside, and man will know such freedom of expression that the whole planet and the stars around it will be transformed by him.
You and Luther are heretics.
The heresy of Luther is but one step towards that freedom, that utopia. My heresy will become the dogma of tomorrow.
At least Luther has the approval of his sovereign prince.
Yes, but unlike Luther, I have no faith in the Christianity of sovereign princes.
You heretic!
Your biting criticisms and outcries against me are just a cover-up for the errors you make. You don't care about your patients, you only care about your profits! I am ashamed of medicine when I consider what a fraud it has become today.
You didn't show such concern when you snatched the post of town physician from me.
That's rubbish! I was appointed by your alderman. I don't defend my approach to medicine with empty talk, you know, but with example of treatment and cure. I don't defend it by crawling on my belly to some college professor or medical guild, nor do I use flattery or deck myself out in finery to give weight to my diagnoses. Will none of you give the lie to the scribes who vilify me? Have I not tended innumerable persons stricken with fever? Have I not cured 40 kinds of disease which I have found in patients spread throughout the Netherlands and in Romagna?
You and your famous patients. I'm surprised you haven't been called in attendance on the popes.
It was not so long ago one of your doctors, a Gallenist, attended a pope. Pope Adrian, the Flemish one. That doctor was a stuffed shirt just like you lot. All books and no experience. The Italian cardinals were so delighted when the pope died, they thanked the doctor for his services and called him savior of the country.
If you're so good at the treatment of prominent people, what about von Lichtenfels? He's a canon of our cathedral. Or isn't that rank enough for you?
It is indeed. It is so rank that it stinks to high heaven whenever you pass one of your patients on to me. Still, I will see him.
I'll hold you to that, Cacophrastus.
You're a shipload of carping old fools! A toothless load of old hyenas!
You won't say that when this is served on you.
Oh, yes? And what's that? Another protest against my unorthodox methods. Not enough gallon in them.
It's an order from the alderman of this city, asking the medical guild to inquire into the cause of Frobin's death.
Don't talk to me about negligence! I saved Frobin from certain death when some of you would have had his leg amputated! You don't give a damn about Frobin! You poison the people and you ruin their health! And you denounce me for not following your medical ways! You're like a tribe of snakes! I expect nothing but venom from you! You don't spare the sick, so how can I expect you to spare me when I expose your ignorance and incompetence and reduce your incomes for you? Much against my better judgment, I began treating Canon Lichtenfels for his liver condition. I needed the guilders to pay my printers. I realized too late that I had walked into a trap prepared for me by the medical guild. The bait, 100 guilders, a patient eminent, the condition easy to treat. Good day, Canon. You know my cousin George? My cousin is a night hospitaller. I've brought him here today for a second opinion.
That should not be necessary, Doctor. I feel absolutely splendid. Your treatment has been totally successful.
I'm glad to hear it. There's something strange going on here, George. The patient is well enough, but there's a mystery. I've severely reduced his diet, but he loses no weight. I've put a male nurse here to watch that he doesn't eat too much. Now, he assures me that the canon has not dined at table for 2 weeks. Only food on a tray is brought to him under supervision. He should be much reduced in weight. Well, Canon, visiting you anymore would be a waste of time. You're as fit as you ever will be. Here, I'm leaving you my bill. 100 guilders, I think, you offered me.
Very grateful, Doctor. Thank you. Very grateful.
Good day, Canon.
An exotic flower grown in my gardens in Augsburg. It comes from the Turks, you know. I adore their flowers and their carpets. Yes, I told Commander Bolsover that I might be prepared to lend your order the rather substantial amounts needed to recapture Rhodes. But I've had time now to consult with my brothers, my business partners.
I hope you've not changed your mind.
I must be frank with you, Kanstadt. I have examined the feasibility of your venture. As bankers to the Emperor, we have occasions to consult with His Majesty's military advisors, some of the best military minds available. I raised the subject of Rhodes with them.
I trust your interest rates have not risen any further as a result.
They will be high enough, you can be sure of that.
Then your military advisors accept that our plans are soundly based.
Oh, there's no question that you can recapture Rhodes. The question uppermost in their minds was...
Yes? What?
How long could you hold Rhodes? The Turks are in the ascendant. I'm informed that Suleiman has an astute military mind and will stop at nothing in his attack on Europe, on Vienna, which is their target. Rhodes used to threaten their left flank. Now Rhodes guards it.
More the reason to retake it and to divert the Turks from Vienna.
They would never let you be. You would always be under attack at sea and on Rhodes itself. It would be massively expensive to maintain Rhodes and risky.
So you won't help us?
I have an alternative.
An alternative to Rhodes?
A safe alternative, which could still harass the Turks effectively.
You must mean the island of Malta.
Yes. A far, far sounder proposition, and financially viable.
Well, our order has already considered Malta, but there seems to be endless problems over it.
There is only one problem, money. A word from me with a promise of finance, and I think the Emperor would cede Malta to your order. You have earned it. He needs no further proof of your loyalty. But I do.
What do you want me to do?
You need to visit certain important persons immediately to get the matter underway. It would take all your time.
I'm sure it will, but I'm totally available to work on the project.
There are some preconditions, Commander, before you can have the Emperor's support.
Oh, you mean certain guarantees, mercantile rights, monopolies. These could be arranged.
There is a more personal matter. I hesitate to mention it.
Personal matter? What do you mean?
Your cousin, Dr. Paracelsus, the city physician, is causing our banking house, the same one that intends to install the Knights of St. John on Malta, is causing us some embarrassment. He disparages the selling of our drug guaiac in Basil's apothecaries and will not even use it in his own practice.
That has nothing to do with me.
On the contrary, you are a knight hospitaller, a doctor in armour. Will you ban Guaiac because a scurrilous doctor, often in rags or drunk, declaims against it?
If St. John's banned it, it would be after consideration of the drug's effectiveness and its side effects, not upon whether my cousin was a drunkard or a saint. My family affairs would have nothing to do with our hospitallers using Guaiac.
Our extensive trading in Guaiac is threatened. It could cause us irreparable loss. If your cousin did not resort to the printing press at every turn, we could contain the damage he does, confine it here to Basel, freeze him out of every medical school. But his disreputable publications are everywhere.
My cousin's disrepute, it seems, started with you and your misguided attempts to foist Guaiac in every medical establishment in Europe.
His disrepute began with his grandfather, a scurrilous knave, a debauched Teutonic knight, a knight hospitaller, who worked with your order on Cyprus, an old reprobate who did not hesitate to bring his concubine back to Germany and provide her with a string of bastards.
Why, you... How dare you?
One of which bastards sired Bombastus von Hohenheim, who is wont to call himself Paracelsus, Prince of Physicians.
None of these matters has anything to do with me, or the business in hand.
A Teutonic knight who insulted the German High Court of Justice, and whose goods and estates were auctioned off when he failed to make suitable apologies. The grandsire of a whippersnapper who struts around the countryside posturing on medical matters as if he were a Galen or an Avicenna.
I am here to represent the Knights of St. John, not my cousin.
Then keep it like that. You must choose, Commander, your order of knights or your family. The more distant part of your family, if I may say so.
There can be no question about it.
Well?
Malta, the Knights of St. John.
You must leave Basel immediately. You will have much to do in Germany. I will arrange for you to see His Imperial Majesty in Spain also. The right word by me in the right place, and Malta is St. John's. Allow events in Basel to discipline your cousin.
What's old fat ass doing here then? Here, watch it. You're roasting hell. He's here because he's got his big case today. They're all waiting for the verdict. What's it all about then? Well, old Popguts here was poorly, near to death with overeating. But Paracelsus got him right again. Now he wants his fee. The old fat ass don't want to cough up.
How much did Paracelsus charge him?
Nearly 100 guilders, they say.
It's truth, bit much, isn't it?
He only offered the 100 guilders when he had 1 foot in the grave.
This court has examined with great care the claim of the plaintiff, Dr. Philippus Theophrastus von Hohenheim, who occupies the post of city physician in Basel, against the defendant, the canon Cornelius von Lichtenfels. The sum of money involved is 100 guilders, considerable amount for a medical treatment by any standards. I've listened to the plaintiff's arguments, so ably put by his counsel, Professor Amberbach. Equally, I have heard the contention of the defense that for one professional visit and some pills, a charge of 100 guilders is excessive, and that the payment his client has already tendered, namely 6 guilders, is sufficient. The evidence of the canon himself was impressive. His assertion that he should know his own life's worth is hard to argue against, coming from one so eminently placed. Accordingly, This court finds for the defendant and accepts the fee of 6 guilders already paid to the plaintiff is adequate, even under these circumstances.
Nonsense! Your verdict is infamous!
Really, Dr. Paracelsus, restrain yourself. This is a court of law.
This is a court of fools and dupes!
I apologize for my client, Your Honor. He's overcome. He had not expected...
This is infamous! Corruption in this city is getting worse. Priests are corrupt. Doctors are corrupt. And yes, magistrates are corrupt.
This is contempt of court. We must consider an attainder against your client.
It would have been so easy to have accepted the court's judgments. But my anger and resentment reached a breaking point. I penned a scarcely veiled broadside against the sitting magistrates and pinned it to their courthouse. Call yourselves magistrates? 100 gulden is nothing. Less than nothing. A pox on you all! And to hell with Basil!
Erasmus, thank God I found you. Paracelsus needs your help. He's trapped between 2 parties. He's just lost the Lichtenfels case.
I know that, but Paracelsus has Ecolampadius. What does he need me for? Ecolampadius has promised me that Paracelsus will not be drawn into political disputes.
Ecolampadius is out of the city. He's gone to help the Anabaptists. Oh, beloved, since Frobin died, Paracelsus has no one else to turn to. Even his cousin, the knight Canstad, appears to have deserted him. He will be arrested this very evening when he returns from his sick rounds, unless someone like yourself intervenes. The charge is very severe. Contempt of court. God, they could even hang him.
How can I help? You know more about the law than I do.
I've used every device I know. Stays of execution, appeals to magistrates. There's nothing more I can do. They mean to imprison him on the island of Pontius Pilate.
What? I have been betrayed. By Ecolampadius, who gave me his word, and by this city which inveigled me into staying here after Frobin's death.
Erasmus, an incisive act is required to save Paracelsus. I have 100 of his students I could call upon. If you lead them in protest to the city hall, others would join us. The magistrates would soon change their minds and Paracelsus could remain in Basel.
Boniface, my dear boy, I am not a soldier, not even a man of action. I cannot and will not take sides in violent actions and counteractions. My appeal is to the minds of men. I broke with Luther because of his turbulent ways. I raged against popes when they waged war. I am a pacifist. I can but protest, and will do most strongly.
I fear that would not be enough.
Perhaps not. But you can tell them that whoever takes Paracelsus' place as town physician will incur my extreme displeasure. I shall be at Frobin's if you need me.
Good God, my dear friend Theophrastus. And you don't even know. I must warn you. I must prepare your escape. For heaven's sake, what is keeping him?
Probably a sick patient. His travel bag is ready. I'll go up the road and meet him. I'll hurry him along.
Hurry, it's nearly sunset. Out of the way, man. Come!
Boniface, Operinus has told me, and I won't take this lying down.
Don't be ridiculous. You don't understand. They are going to arrest you. You don't stand a chance.
You don't understand me. You don't understand. This is my life, my work. He who threatens one threatens both. Do you want me to sink to the level of those Protestant boobies at the town hall, who run at the slightest inkling of a skirmish, who appoint me as their representative, and then desert me when I struggle for their cause?
I am trying to understand you. I have defended you legally against all comers. But Theophrastus, I can't hold them off any longer. You have no chance in law. The same aldermen who appointed you have condemned you. They have passed a bill of attainder. The magistrates would have arrested you yesterday but for a legal technicality I raised.
So, it has come to this. That merely to demand justice has become a crime within itself. Then I no longer wish to live in this city. It is rotten to the core.
Sweet Prince of Physicians, you must leave right now. The stay of execution has expired. The time is up. The sergeant-at-arms is on his way right now.
Then what do you want me to do?
Flee the city. Go to my family home at Nuremberg. My young brother is on honeymoon there. You will be safe with him and you can rest there until I sort this mess out in Basel.
Well and good then. I shall not return to this place. Boniface, sell this house. My faithful Operinus, stay here and bring the heavy luggage later. Transport everything to the house in Colmar. The Alsatians love me at least. I will meet you there. And how have you staged my exit, Boniface?
We must hurry. You must go down the Rhine to Ruffach, where you have friends. I have a small boat with a helmsman, someone you know, waiting for you on the river.
Master, over here.
There you are. Oh, it's you, Carl. It was years later I heard there'd been a fracas on the banks of the Rhine involving a knight of St. John. I like to think it was my cousin George who must have come to my rescue, holding off the sergeant-at-arms and his men, of whom I'd been totally unaware. But now there were exciting new prospects open to me. Among them was the rich prize of the city of Nuremberg, probably the greatest of the imperial cities in southern Germany. It had excellent printers, and I pined to settle down somewhere to write my works on surgery, and where I could forget the disaster at Basel.